We'll let you hear exactly what Kyle Shanahan said within the last hour and a half or so, letting everybody know that there is a bit of a problem at the quarterback position. Brock Purdy is in the concussion protocol and very, very unlikely to play this weekend against Cincinnati. So it's Sam Darnold time. Here's one thing that let's get out ahead of this. And maybe you disagree with me, Dibs. I think you were joking on the crossover. But dearly departed to Sacramento, our mutual good friend Alan Stiles, who will not be buying me dinner, nor will I be buying him dinner, a no bet in the Chris Paul starter sweepstakes.
Sure, yeah.
But 20 minutes ago, he tweeted, there's a section of the Niner fan base that, of course, wants the Niners to win, but they don't want Sam Darnold to play too well because it would be a shame if there was another ... QB controversy. Here's what I'd like to clearly state.
Okay.
There is no, and there will be no quarterback controversy no matter what happens on Sunday. It is not possible. Kyle Shanahan and the 49er team does not feel that way about Brock Purdy. They do not feel that things are on thin ice. You don't do that not only to a player, more importantly, you don't do that to a team. You don't jerk around your starting quarterback in the National Football League. That is way too much of a thing. And so Sam Darnold could go score 42 points and absolutely whip the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend, and there will be absolutely no QB controversy no matter what. You can book that.
At this point, yeah, you're right. I mean, after this game, if it goes that way and Brock has a concussion and then you go into the bye and Brock most likely will be healthy coming out of it, Brock is the starting quarterback. Now, if Brock has 2 or 3 more games like he's had the last 2 and you lose those 2 or 3 games, then we can talk about maybe there being a quarterback controversy. And that's something that's really far down the road, and that is something that would take a lot to get to that point. But if you get to 6-2 with Sam Darnold, and then Brock gets healthy, and then you fall to 6-4 or 6-5, well, then there's a different conversation to be had. Yeah, but for right now, after one game, yes, Mark, you're right. There is no QB controversy, and I gave a one-line answer just to be glib and funny during the crossover. There's nothing that Sam Darnold can do, even if he throws for 540 yards and they win 70-20, which we've seen this year. If they beat Cincinnati 70-20, there is still no QB controversy.
No QB controversy. You know what's funny, though? You say at this point, but then you say, but what if there are a few more games like the last 2? The interesting thing is, when you come out of those last 2 games, everybody would agree that Brock made some very big mistakes in those games, yet I never heard anyone come out and be like, those are unacceptable Brock Purdy type losses. I hear people come out of Cleveland and go, look, rough game, rough circumstances, but he took him on the drive to win the game, and then the kicker missed the kick.
Sure.
And then the Minnesota game, what I hear is, well, he was actually really good for 3 quarters, and then he had a disaster of a 4th quarter.
Yeah.
And that's winning time.
Exactly.
And so that's not a problem. It's a problem, but I didn't hear anybody come out of those 2 games questioning Brock Purdy's spot as a starter. And so if you think if we're even within 2 or 3 games of another loss or 2 of having that question, I don't even think it's that.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's that. Like, you can't feel that way about your quarterback in the NFL and feel good. And it feels to me like the 49ers feel good about their QB.
They sure do.
If you feel
and
good
they
about
should.
So if you feel good about your QB, you're not 2 or 3 games away from replacing him.
But if he comes out of the bye, and this is a crazy hypothetical that's maybe not appropriate for today when he's got a concussion and he's not going to play, it seems, on Sunday. But if you come out of the bye and you're not concussed and you lose and you lose and you lose again, I think when you're 6-5, you got to take a hard look at your situation. If Brock Purdy is playing the way that he's played the last 2 games, which is not as good as he had played in the previous 13 starts.
Yeah, I see that a little bit differently because,
yeah, of course.
Well, but QB in the National Football League, that is a very, I don't want to call it an honor. It's a big deal that role is defined. And I just don't think that players who are, for instance, right now, even with the 2 losses, you're the second-rated quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
You have a TD to interception ratio of 11-3. That's not a position where you go, yeah, but if a couple weeks down the road, if it's still losing, then we need to have a conversation about QB. I don't think you do that. I don't think that, questions about quarterback standing are for, let me think of some players around the league who would fit into that category. Garoppolo might fit into that category. Daniel Jones was fitting into that category. Desmond Ridder was absolutely fitting into that category. People who don't, obviously Mac Jones. Yes, thank you, Luke. You do not end up in that conversation when you're playing the way Brock Purdy has played. So I don't even think it's what you're saying. I don't think there is the scenario where in the month of October or November, Brock is replaced by choice.
Okay, what if he loses 6 in a row?
Or they even have 6 games between October and November?
No, I'm talking about after the bye.
Yeah, I mean, why would I mean? Well, what if he loses 27 in a row?
No, we're talking about
that's not a realistic thought.
Well, what is realistic? He gets to quarterback the rest of the year regardless?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you your opinion.
That would be.
And, so Sam starts this weekend.
Based on
and
the way
win,
they feel about him.
And he comes out of the bye, and Brock starts, and he loses, 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 and he loses.
That's not realistic.
I'm asking you what's realistic.
Yeah, and I'm saying that's not it. That's not it. They can't
possibly lose. I mean, they've already lost 2 games that you didn't think they would lose.
Correct.
And 2 games one game.
So
that
you think it's a realistic conversation that Brock Purdy will come out healthy and the 49ers will go on a 7 to 8 game losing streak?
It's less realistic than him winning a game and losing one and, going back and forth and being up and down.
Yeah.
I don't think that this team is as good as we all thought that they were.
Maybe not.
And you're hearing from their own defensive players starting to question the defensive calls.
Yep.
And you heard the head coach talk about a defensive call that he didn't like. And, he's talking about how it's something that won't happen again.
It was a hell of a comment today. I don't know.
Big time comment. I heard it.
In the Brock Purdy conversation, maybe y'all missed that, but Kyle Shanahan today about Steve Wilkes' call right before halftime, quote, he knows he messed up.
Right. He knows he messed up.
Yep.
So you're calling out your own defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, it's not good. It's accurate, though.
Fine. I mean, accuracy matters, as we know from the exogen temporal thermometer, but it's not about accuracy. It's about cohesiveness and connectivity, as I borrow from Steve Kerr.
I'm not saying it's a good thing.
No, I'm just saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah, it is a bad thing, but it's a fair thing that Kyle Shanahan called him out.
It's fair, but I think it shows where this team is in terms of maybe they're not the juggernaut that we all thought that they were. If the defensive coordinator is being called out by the head coach, and he's also being called out by the highest paid defensive player in football.
I think that's a completely fair statement. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm saying it's a bad thing.
I'm agreeing with you.
No, but what I'm saying is it's not for me, it's not about fair or foul. It's about, I think it's showing signs of dysfunctionality, and it's showing that maybe there's more wrong than what we see.
Agreed.
Okay,
I'm
not saying you disagree. I know, I totally get it.
Wonderful point. Agreed. Yes.
I think that, I don't know, as you look at Cincinnati and beyond, and Seattle's a half game back, and I definitely feel differently now at 5-2 than I did at 5-0.
I mean, we all have to acknowledge the possibility of things going away that we don't see coming, because we didn't see this coming, but this is also not that intense. I mean, these are close, one-score losses, field goal goes wide right. That's a little different than talking about 8-game losing streaks and total dysfunctionality.
True.
But I'm with you. No, I did not have or want on my bingo card that after week 7, Kyle Shanahan would be talking about his D coordinator messing up and potentially ruining a football game. Let's go to Chardal in Fremont. We want to take as many of your calls as possible. Let's start it. Hey, Chardal, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What you doing?
It's a first-time caller on 95.7 The Game. I'm super excited.
So are we.
Yes.
Did we get your name right?
I mean, I never called into the show, so I'm really excited I get the chance to call into the show and share my thoughts.
Yeah, you can do this every day. Did you know that, Chardol?
I didn't know I could do this every day.
Every day. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to take you every day. Like, let's not hand you the show. But you know what I mean? Like, this is something that we do.
So I just want to say, I went to the Warriors and Suns game yesterday, and it was a competitive game. Both sides.
Wow, that didn't go well. Oh, there you are. I know we lost you for a second, Chardol.
So I'm here. Can you still hear me?
We got you, brother.
Did we lose you?
Let's hear it, man.
It was a loss yesterday, but it was heartbreaking because I know it's KD's. They made a tribute to KD, which was pretty special because he brought a lot of stuff to the Warriors. So it was a pretty good game, but it was a loss. And the second point is that about the Brock Purdy concussion protocol. I've been supporting the Niners for so many years. I've loved this team so much. I'm super passionate about the team. I like to see them put wins on the board. But that concussion was shocking, man. I would never experience that. You would see Brock Purdy go down like that. Like that was never something I would love to see. I'd never like to see injuries on any player. Like that's never the mindset that I like to see in an NFL game, to see a star player like Brock Purdy who went to Iowa State, who was really great. He had a lot of success over there. And coming into the Niners, he brought his college experience from Iowa State over to San Francisco.
Yeah, Chardol, thanks so much, man. Let us respond to that a little bit.
Yeah,
appreciate you. I know what he means by it being shocking. Nobody thought we were going to be into this today.
Right.
We nobody saw this coming.
It caught us all off guard. I actually got here later than you, and you're running around, and Lucas and Nahigian, and I was like, did I miss our meeting? And you're like, dude, Purdy, concussion, protocol. You did your Joe Buck. And I was like, whoa, Purdy, head, owie.
Darnold,
Totally.
go. Yeah. And we were all surprised. Shanahan was surprised. Here's what he said today.
Oh, he started getting symptoms on the plane. So I found that out when we landed. We were all pretty asleep, but then he got all checked up today or yesterday, and now he's in the protocol.
Okay, and he said he's feeling better today, but they didn't know until they woke up. Glad to hear that they're able to sleep on the plane. That's nice. But didn't know until they woke up and the plane landed, so it was a surprise to them too. However, it's not shocking that a player got concussed on a quarterback sneak.
Right.
I'm shocked that it doesn't happen more, to be honest with you. Watching what happens to Jalen Hurts' body when they do this brotherly shove thing is absolutely gnarly. Honestly, most of the plays, be honest, you can't even see him. The ref is just like, well, it looks like you ended up here, so we'll mark it here. But the guy goes into a sea of humanity.
Sure.
And he's just gone.
But he goes low normally. And on the brotherly shove, he goes down.
Right.
And this happened on the first of the two QB sneaks.
Correct.
And Brock Purdy goes high on the QB sneak, and he's getting held up, and the Vikings player comes in, and it's hat to hat, and it's just kapow. And that clearly is where it happened. So,
by the way, Shanahan was asked what play it happened on, and I haven't heard this answer yet. Did he specifically say it was on that play? Let's find out.
You watched the film. Where do you think he hurt himself? Quarterback sneaks, maybe?
Possibly. We don't know for sure because he didn't start getting until the plane, so I don't know exactly, but I'd probably guess that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, he's not going to say definitively because you don't know. But if you go watch the replay, it's all over the internet. Go watch the replay, and it's hard to imagine that's not the one. He gets a very healthy whack to the head.
3rd and 1, 7:03 to go in the fourth, and they're at their own 49, and it's QB sneak, and it's no gain. And then the next play, QB sneak again, and that's where they took it a lot quicker, and he went lower, and he got 2 yards. He got the first down, and the very next play, he throws a pick, the one to Jawan Jennings, where he kind of threw it up for grabs, and I'm not saying that he was concussed and that's why he did that, but it was definitely an irregular throw from Brock Purdy. 2 snaps after he reportedly got concussed.
I'm going to give the people what they want for a second.
Give it to them.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So he threw that pick right after the concussion. Of course it was the concussion. What do you crazy people think Brock Purdy would actually throw a bad pass?
I love it.
That would never happen. Brock would never throw a bad pass. It would never happen. He's perfect. He's the best quarterback I've ever watched play. How on earth do you think that interception would happen? It's not because he's human, because he's not. Hello? All right. Clip it, send it, get it on Twitter as quick as possible. All right, let's go to Dollar Bill.
And he would throw another pick later in the game.
That's fake news. Let's go to Dollar Bill. Hi, Dollar Bill. It was some other guy that they gave Purdy's jersey to.
Gotcha.
Hey, Dollar Bill, what are you doing?
Hey, boys. Hey, I just I'm on my way back from lunch. Just wanted to chime in on, you were asking what it's going to mean if Sam Darnold comes in. What are we going to learn? What we're going to learn is if Sam Darnold comes in, balls out, what we're going to learn is that, he may not be the number 3 pick that he came up to be, but he's also not a bum. He's a somewhere in the middle quarterback, maybe on the borderline of deserving a starting role, but he's in a system now where I think what we're really going to learn is we're going to learn that, hey, you know what? If Brock Purdy goes down again, that we're going to have, the 49ers Super Bowl aspirations are not over. They got a good, capable quarterback who I always thought he was as a Jets fan. I saw moments of greatness with him. It's just unfortunate because you don't see a lot of them when you're behind a offensive line of Swiss cheese and your 2 biggest weapons are Denzel Mims, Jamison Crowder, and a 48-year-old, what the hell from the 49ers.
Well, I listen, Dollar Bill, thank you very much. I am genuinely curious, not because I want Brock Purdy to miss any time, but that's the question that we all want to see. There are enough football people, for me, there are enough people in the NFL who seem to still think Sam Darnold's got some juice, and that what has happened prior has been the result of what's around him. Now, I tend to reject that stuff. But there is a little something to it. I do think things can be bad enough to where a good quarterback can look bad, and I do think that that things can be good enough that just a solid quarterback can be elevated. I don't think you can play well in the NFL if you stink, and I don't think you can play horribly in the NFL if you're amazing. But I've used this example before, and I do wonder if it'll fit Sam Darnold once we watch him play. Kurt Warner, Super Bowl quarterback with the Rams. Then he goes to the Giants. They can't get a first down. Then he goes to the Cardinals. They're back in the Super Bowl again. He's in the Hall of Fame. So he did have that window in there where it couldn't function all that well, and that was based on surroundings. Has that been Sam Darnold's experience up till now, even though it was 2 different teams? Maybe.
We'll see.
But I doubt it. I think he'll look a little bit better than we're used to seeing him. But the idea that there is greatness in there that has been held down by circumstance, I have my doubts.
Yeah, I have my doubts also, but I do think that he's more likely to look as good as he possibly can now that he has a better coach and better system and better weapons around him. Because you look at those Jets teams, and they were bad, and then in Carolina, their teams weren't very good, and his head coaching situation was unsettled, to put it mildly, and it was bad, to put it more accurately. Matt Rule was not cut out to be an NFL coach at that time, and Steve Wilkes, did a lot for Sam Darnold, and he played his best football in Carolina for Steve Wilkes, and he started to show some signs of being a top 3 pick in the NFL draft, and now he's with Shanahan, and he's got better weapons, and he's been around this system for a long time now, so he should be able to hit the ground running. And I don't think that he would be the reason why they would lose to Cincinnati. Spanning
5 years, a career completion percentage of 59.7.
Right.
Only once in his career has he hit a completion percentage above 60. That was in 2019 at 61.9.
For who?
That was still for the Jets.
With the Jets,
Okay,
yeah.
So for reference point, the quarterbacks this year who start and have a completion percentage under 60%.
Right.
Matthew Stafford, C.J. Stroud, who, by the way, is playing pretty good football, but Stafford, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson was there before he got hurt, Jordan Love of the Packers, end of list.
Under 60.
And all of them are 30th or below in the rankings in the NFL. So, in other words, under 60 is really bad.
Right.
It's really bad.
Well, and if you look at who he had to throw to when he was with the Jets and when he was with the Panthers.
It's fair.
And compare that to what C.J. Stroud has, I think that's pretty accurate in terms of C.J. Stroud's weapons. Matthew Stafford has Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. And
Yeah.
Puka Nacua has been great, and Cooper Kupp is an all-pro receiver. So the fact that he's really, struggling as much as he is,
Surprising, isn't it?
it is surprising. But
Yeah.
they throw it a ton because they've been really mostly unable to run the ball, especially now that Kyron Williams has gotten hurt.
Matthew Stafford at 256 attempts this year. Only two quarterbacks have thrown more. That would be Kirk Cousins
And Tua, right?
and Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, Mahomes,
He's
yeah.
thrown more than Tua. He's thrown more than Tua. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, under 60% in the NFL is not good, and Sam has consistently been there.
Yeah.
Will it be better here? I do believe so. Will it be what Brock Purdy does? I do not believe so. But that's a guess, and we're only going to get, at least you hope, you're only going to get one game of a sample against a Bengals defense that's, I don't know, interesting, middle of the pack group kind of a situation. But I tell you what, yeah, the drama is all there, and we will get a little bit of information. Should be interesting.